On March 28th, Mike Anthony, Memphis Wrestling's Mike Anthony, stepped into the studio here at 304 in Jonesboro, Arkansas. That's right. We sat face to face and talked for 2.5 hours. I put this up on Patreon, and a lot of people liked it. Let me say, you're going to get 1 hour of the show, 1 hour into the interview, and then you must do this. Either go to Rumble or YouTube. The link will be at the end of this video, and you can watch the full video. I'll put the full video with no commercials up, or you can go to the main feed, Shooting the Shiznit, on your podcast catcher, and you can listen to the full thing with limited commercials. Love my mama. Hope y'all enjoy this. We're live from 304 Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas. This is an stspod.club production, and this is in the studio with BT and Mike Anthony. How the hell are you, Mike?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. And I got to put this over because this was kind of your demand. Do you remember that? It was not a demand. I'm gonna say it that way, but this was kind of your idea. I've always wanted to do this kind of in the studio, have people over and talk to them one-on-one. And I have been doing streaming or doing podcasting for 9 years. And this is a whole different dynamic. I mean, you're looking right into the person's eyes. You have the microphone right here. But it was one of those things where I think it was not this Memphis in May, but the Memphis in May before it. I think I said, Mike, I want you on the show. And you said, I want to come over to the studio. I want to come over to the house to do it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't have that set up, but I'm going to have that set up. And then I never did it. And then I was like, man, I want to do it now and blah, blah, blah. And was going to do it at the end of that year. Then last year went by and we finally did it. So here we are. And what I like to start with, and this won't go out till next Saturday. So I don't know what's going on next Saturday's TV show. So don't say a word about it. No spoilers. But we do know what's happening today as we're talking. I got a call from Dustin earlier this week, and he said, do you know what's going on the show? That's before he sent it. And I said, no. He goes, how do you go with no spoilers? And I said, because everybody that talks to me knows you don't. I think you spoiled something unintentionally, and Gun Show did one time. I think it was a title change. It was like you said, it's sometimes hard to tell what week we are on.
Man, I missed that one.
Yeah. I think you two guys are the only two guys that gave me something you shouldn't have gave me but didn't know it. But that's pretty dang good for 262 shows. So it'd only be spoiled twice. But I always like to start at the very beginning as a fan, as a kid, as you growing up. Did you grow up around this area? Because me and you, this is where I met you at, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later.
No, that's one thing about me. Everything about me is 100% authentic. Born and raised in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
My name is Mike Anthony.
I wasn't going to ask you your shoot name, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah, my name is Mike Anthony, and well, I'm just not going to call myself something I'm not.
Right.
And but yeah, I was born and raised in Chicago, so I missed all the Mid-South wrestling. I didn't catch.
You didn't know Memphis wrestling. You didn't know anything like that.
Like a good example, I knew Jerry Lawler and Brian Christopher from WWF.
Yes, yeah.
That's where I first seen them, and like I knew of Memphis wrestling, just never seen it.
What was you watching then?
WWF.
So WWF was your
because when I grew up in Chicago, but my mom lived in Atlanta. So whenever I go to Atlanta, it was all WCW based. But then in Chicago, whether I had cable or not, just depending on the time. But you had the standard channels, 32, 50, 26.
Right.
You would catch like WWF Superstars, or you catch the 1 hour program, or even the Hispanic channel had wrestling on it. You couldn't understand it, but it had WWF on there.
You got to watch the matches. Yeah.
The same thing. You know, I can catch a little bit of WCW, but then growing up in my time, Sunday through Thursday, you're in bed at a certain time. But Friday and Saturday, you get to stay up. I don't know. It's like random channels. They never had a fixed channel, but late at night, I would catch the tail end, last 15, 20 minutes of ECW.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because they were really weird about it. They was trying to get on as many channels as they could, but you never knew what. And is this in Chicago that you'd catch them every once in a while?
Yes. And then there was one time I thought WCW was located in Chicago. It was on 125th in South Chicago. My dad took me up there, and it was a little bitty storage building, but it said WCW on the.
Oh,
door.
wow, yeah.
Come to find out, that was Windy City.
Right, I remember Windy City. Yeah.
But went up there on like a random, like one day during the week, so nobody was there.
Yeah,
I didn't know anything about independent wrestling. I thought it was just how you go and get a job at McDonald's. You just go fill out an application, go get a job at WWF or WWE, and that was that. Only to find out there was a whole different dynamic. You don't just go to WWE unless you're just, something, once in a lifetime.
When you was in Chicago and when you was in Atlanta, going back and forth, and I know how that is, but was you able to go to live matches during that time? And was any of your family, your mom, your dad, or did they like wrestling?
My mom didn't care for it. My dad was all for it. I didn't go to my first WCW event until 1999. It was January 1999. And that was at the point in time where when you watched it on TV, right before the big match happened, they would go off the air, and that's when they started getting
yeah.
So my first ever event, the main event, off-air main event, was Macho Man and Hogan versus Sting and Luger.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so that was when the NWO was red hot. That's when Crow Sting was at its hottest, and he just come out,
Right.
He was champion at that time.
That's a fun time. I always loved Sting. So, and now what age are you at this time watching wrestling?
And when I started watching wrestling, that I remember, it would have to have been Saturday Night's Main Event, probably 88.
Yeah,
because I just been in front of the TV and they opened up with those pre show promos, and I've been hooked ever since. But at that time of that WCW event, I was in my teens.
Were you in any sports in school? Did you play basketball, football?
Tried to play football. That's a whole different.
Oh yeah, I know. I tried to play football too. And so you're a fan. Are you really you're really into it, like hardcore? You're buying the magazines. You're trying to find other.
When I would go to the store, because growing up we weren't poor, but I didn't have every comic book, every magazine, every toy, or everything like that. But whenever we go to the store, I'd go straight to the magazine section. And when you're ready, when you're done doing whatever you're doing, you can come get me. You know where I'll be. I'll go look at the figures, but then I'll come back and I'll read through the magazine.
I've told the same story because we were poor. But they usually let me get one magazine a month or a couple of comics a month. So, and I was the only child, so I was spoiled anyway. But it was, and no one understands it that's listening to this, that's a lot younger. They don't understand going to the newsstand and trying to get as much knowledge as you can while someone's grocery shopping. You can care less what they brought home.
Well, see, Pro Wrestling Illustrated is when you look at their top 10.
Right.
That's where you find out about USWA. That's where you find out about Memphis. That's where you find out about these other promotions. And it's just like, then that's when everybody worked everywhere. That's a little bit of the territory.
Yep. Still was going, yeah.
So everybody was somewhere. You could see Jeff Jarrett ranked in USWA, Memphis, then he'll be ranked over here in Southeast or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's where you got the knowledge of it, who everyone was and where they were. And it was like, okay, all these other companies, but I didn't get their broadcast.
Look at that. I hadn't even put my cap on. That's my gimmick, man.
There we are.
That's my gimmick. So we're magazines. We're into it. We're at any time. I mean, we as kids, we always were. We sit back and say, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that." I've told this story 1,000 times. But when we was in high school in this area, you said you didn't grow up with Memphis wrestling, but everybody in this area, dude, you can't even describe. Well, you can understand it because there's still Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler. There's still people that's influenced, and there's tons of guys that promote that grew up on Memphis wrestling, Dustin Starr, that see it, that still see themselves. But on the playground, when we would play, we wouldn't do like Cowboys and Indians or anything like that. It was wrestling. One of us was Jerry Lawler, one of us was Bill Dundee, and I told the story that we used to make fun of people that we didn't want to, and we'd call them Rough and Ready because Rough and Ready got beat every week, so they were Rough and Ready. But it's still that. Were you on the playground thinking, or as a kid growing up, was you thinking, "Hey, I do want to be a professional wrestler"?
That was always my thing. Everybody wanted to be a police officer, doctor, and that sounded. I wanted to be a pro wrestler.
Oh wow!
And that was just that is what it is. I mean, if we're outside playing 5:05, dude, it could be 10-10, game 11.
See you later. I gotta go. Huh?
Yeah, I mean that's me. And I mean, I'll stay in the house. I'll go in the house, watch wrestling. I'll come back outside. But every time, no matter what the show was, no matter the quality, whether it was good wrestling, bad wrestling, wrestling was wrestling back then when I was watching it. And I was just totally into it.
Same thing. We watched Memphis wrestling, but after I discovered Memphis wrestling, I think I missed about a dozen from 1978 to 1991, believe it or not. That's all I missed. And after the VHS, you didn't miss anything because of that. So how'd you end up from Chicago and Atlanta to here, this area? Because this is where we met. If I can remember right, and I went to the website, it's still up, believe it or not, WrestlingRideOnline.com. I have it up, and I started going through results. And I remember I did a show in RWA, Rodney's show I went to, and I did an arena report. You and John Allen were both on that show. But I think that's the first time we met, or it's ASWF. That's what can't remember which one.
No, I started at ASWF.
Okay.
I started in ASWF January 5th, 2008.
We met in 2009, and I said it was some of your first matches. I guess I was right, probably within the year.
I think I was in your poll for Rookie of the Year.
May have been.
I'm bad with names. Greg James, maybe Greg King.
Yes, Greg King. Yeah, I have to go back and look at that. Yeah.
Won that year.
So that would have been your start, and then I seen J.D. Carey was there in Jonesboro at the time, and he was the guy that was running that we thought was going to be the next Rookie of the Year, and then he just disappeared. Whatever happened? Is he somebody now, or he just got out of the business?
I've talked to JD in the last handful of months.
Oh wow!
Full-blown family man. He's doing well.
Had a lot of talent, man.
He's talking about coming back. He wants to come back.
Yeah,
and it's just getting your foot back in the door. But yeah, we've talked. He's doing good, man. But at that time, he was 14 years old.
Jesus.
14 years old, and just all the talent in the world. But things happen, but he didn't fall off for any bad reason.
Right.
He just got on top of his priorities. And so you can't fault a man for that.
I remember you being so small. That's what I remember. You were so small, you and John Allen. And so if anyone doesn't know, you and Jonathan Holt, John Allen, Action Jackson, whatever you want to call him, did y'all train together? Because y'all tagged a lot together later on, but y'all were trained. You give Rodney and Jazz credit for training you, right?
Yeah, those are my trainers.
Okay.
John was already trained by the time we met.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
When he
that.
got to Rodney and Jazz, he was in that polishing stage. John was trained by Alan and Dustin.
Okay. All right. I didn't know that.
If I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken, he was originally trained by Alan Steele and Dustin Starr and went to Rodney and Jazz just for polishing.
Yeah.
And by the time I met John, because I was doing security on John's first match. When he debuted in ring, I was security.
So, did you already train him by then, or
yeah,
did you? Okay, all right.
So my very first day of training was his debut.
Oh, wow.
And I was working security, and he was getting his ass handed to him in his first match ever.
In my mind, and I can't put anything chronologically together. I could tell you what happened sometime, but I don't know. Did it come before A or did it come before B? But for some reason, in my mind, y'all have been linked for so long together. And in my mind, y'all were both trained by Rodney and Jazz. So how'd you hook up with Rodney and Jazz? By the way, two of my favorite people in the business. Have always treated me with so much respect.
They are awesome, and I'm glad that they're getting their flowers now.
Oh, yes.
They should have been got it. It's long overdue, but better late than never.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Rodney was upset with me, which no one knew it. I mean, Rodney pulled me to the side and said, how did I think Dustin won that year. How did Dustin win Wrestler of the Year and I didn't? And I said, it's a shoot. People didn't know that. It was, they voted. People voted. Yeah. If you voted twice on the same IP, I would drop it off. I had it all gimmicked up. It was as legit as it could get. Right. And I told Rodney that. He goes, all right, I'm cool. So he was cool with that. And then Rodney came, we were at a show together, and I was standing talking to some guys, and he came up behind me and then gave me his arm, and I put him in a hold and took him all the way to the floor in front of all the boys.
What?
And they were like, everybody was like, what the hell did he just do to Rodney Mack? He gets up, gives me a big hug and everything, but just such a gentleman. And Jazz was always, I've had her on the podcast. She's always been she's just normal. That's what a lot of people in the business, especially all the stuff those two people had done when I met them. They got a big head and they don't want to talk to you, but they've always been really super nice to me. So how'd you get hooked up in training with them?
So was my ex-wife and I we were sent here from Mississippi, and we were stationed in Jacksonville, Arkansas. And when I first got around here, didn't know anybody or anything, so went to the gym. And at the gym, that's where I met. Do you remember Silas? Big, tall, 7 foot tall. He wasn't around too long.
No, I can't remember.
But he was in RWA a little bit.
Yeah.
But just working out, and I overheard him say he had his first wrestling match tonight.
And he was like, oh yeah.
Instantly racked the weights, sat up, wait till he was done, instantly jumped in this conversation. And me and him have been cool ever since. I rode with him that night, and he was just telling me that he had been training for a while. He's got his first show tonight. It was his debut as well.
He was involved in a lot of people's first matches.
He was going up there to train, and when I go up there, I'll be damn, Rodney Mack and Jazz standing in the ring. And so now the whole little fill out an application, go straight to WWE thing is just really out of my head, because it's almost like, well, WWE is standing right here in front of my face.
Right. Yeah.
In Sherwood, Arkansas, of all places.
Right.
Okay. And it was a thing where I immediately took to it just off of athletic ability, and then the fact that I had been watching it for so long. but there were so many layers to it as well that you don't just go in there and do what you think you're going to do. It's really not a video game. So I had the video game mindset going in there, but once I got sat down and taught the different layers of how to build, then everything kind of fell into place from there.
It's one of those things that you could do every move in the book, but you may not know where to put them and everything. And if you say you learned everything in the rest of the business, you're lying. I'm sorry. I learned stuff. I've been around it since 90, maybe 88, 89, something like that. And I learned stuff all the time. Like, why'd you do? Okay, tell me why you did that kind of thing. And I'm a psychology guy. I can watch people not really know the moves as well, but I'm a stickler for psychology. I want you to learn psychology. Yeah. I had two of my teams had an ECW tryout one time. This was the day before their last show. And I ran them out of business. I told that story a couple of days ago, but it feels like we did. But we had a tryout, and that Nova was there, and Nova watched the match. A couple other guys watched the match, but Nova really watched the match. And he pulled us all to the side. And I was the manager. I was a heel manager, and I did a bump from the ring apron to the floor to the barrier. I mean, I was showing out. I didn't want to go to ECW, but I wanted my guys to look good, right. So I was showing out, and he made me feel good, but made me feel bad. He told the guys, he said, every one of y'all everything y'all did was wrong except him. And he did exactly what he was supposed to do. And I was like, oh God, don't tell him that. But we went in just doing move, and no psychology. So he was like, it took him, X amount of years to learn the flow of the match and everything. And when someone like that says, and my guys, unfortunately, I was calling a lot of the stuff outside the ring, hey, hot tag, hey, a fight back, just things like that constantly. And he's like, it takes so many years. And I was like, man, I can't, there's where I need to start and let them learn psychology instead of just move by move. Tell me about your first day training. Did you think, oh, hell, I'm done? Or was it some people have a rough first couple of weeks, and some people say, oh, I was just having a great time?
I struggled in areas that, well, number one, I am a horrible trainer anyway. When I say horrible trainer, it's a difference between me and training and a difference when it's showtime.
Yeah.
I have no adrenaline. There's nobody there. Everything hurts 10 times more.
Right. Oh, yeah. Very much so.
And for some reason, I become very dumbfounded in training. Like, for some reason, I just forget. And it's just,
that's funny.
It's crazy. But my thing starting off was like the small thing, because I was a smoker when I first started.
Oh, dang.
And that the cardio wasn't there. The cardio,
and it's a different cardio than the gym cardio too. People,
there's no way to. You can prepare,
right,
but there's nothing like, because once that adrenaline hits, your breathing changes automatically, and you're trying to calm that down. You got so many different things to keep track of.
Right.
And so, but yeah. The bumping was a terror for me.
Went home hurting, huh?
Well, I was kind of scared of it because the body wasn't built to just carelessly fall backwards.
Right. You're right about that. It's
the
not. But
reaction,
put that hand down.
Put that hand down and drop. But then now it's to the point where dropping that hand will hurt you a hell of a lot more than it'll help you.
It's just second nature for you, though. You've been doing it so long. Hey, I can backdrop.
Well, I even tell people, hey, if you slip on it, just tuck it.
Right.
Because you doing this, you're gonna hurt yourself.
I fell back here one day and did that because I knew if I stick my arm, I'm screwed, and I could just feel my body going back. I said, because they used to say when people would tell you it was fake, one of the things they said was they know how to fall, like it don't hurt, And I was just like, well, I told my wife, I said, I know how to fall. I still know how to do the back bump. But yeah, that's one of the things that people don't understand.
I'm not ashamed to say, hell, I fell in the snow.
Oh, I have too.
But it's a thing where, when you feel that leg go out, just let it go. When you try to fight and you're gonna tear an ACL. You're gonna tear a meniscus. Some
of the guys that I worked with and helped, with the psychology and everything, they did a lot of their first stuff when they were kids on a trampoline. Mm-hmm. So by falling back on the trampoline and being able to back bump, then when they got in the ring, they were just doing the same movement. And because they were used to, but they got their air knocked out of them the first couple of times. But
I never seen a trampoline until I moved
to Mississippi. They got these trampolines in Mississippi.
Some shit you can't get in Chicago.
Man. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Maybe in the suburbs or something. Maybe.
But right. I can't imagine. Yeah, living in the South is it's a total different experience. On one of the guys I worked with for a couple years here on the almost 8 years on the podcast. He was from Chicago, and it's not a bad thing. It's just people are different, man. People are just so different.
And then, like in Chicago too, your houses are right there.
Yeah.
You got a front yard with the yard in front of the street, but then you got a backyard, but like you have a walkway, and right past that walkway is another house.
Right.
And it's like that, the city blocks, and it's just like, there's no, like, you'll have a house here, but your next house may be 2 or 3 houses worth of space.
Right. Yeah. Well, I always say we're still too close when it comes to houses. I didn't really live in the neighborhood most of the time I was a kid. We lived out, what we call it in the country. So I was not used to having houses around me. And then, but yeah, people are just so different, which is, it's fine, but it's just one of those things where, you have to learn what's normal for them compared to what's normal for you. Yeah. So you start training with Rodney. Is Jazz part of the training all the time too at that time?
Yes.
She's in there right with. I'm thinking about something just now. Let me say it real quick.
Okay.
Y'all used to go before the matches, right?
Like before the show?
And y'all would train y'all's asses off.
About 5-6 hours before the show, and like game speed, not just little road.
And poker was part of that. Was poker part of that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that now.
Poker was the mother doing the torturing.
But it was just the drills, right?
The drills, you had matches, and then we had like this thing we call bull in the ring, to where no strikes, but it's takedowns. You're really
right.
And it's not a 3 count, so 1 count. So you don't want to get pinned. You gotta, and if a guy gets in the ropes, you gotta stand up. So the last thing you want to do is let that guy get, you know what I mean? You don't want to get the break, yeah. And then you want to finish it as quick as possible, because once you win, you got to run the gauntlet. So,
I remember that. I think poker's the one that told me that.
I thought it was, you think it's torture at the time, but then when you fast forward it to like now, I'm so appreciative. I understand. I get the why of why we did it, why it was necessary, because it's a thing where if you can get that kind of volume done with nobody in that building, imagine what you could do with the ass in every seat.
Right.
That's what they kept drilling in our head. And it just pushed us to go. And the shows were even better.
From day one of me going to an RWA event, I don't know what the date was for that when I did. And I went back the second time. When I went back the second time, after Rodney had took over the talent in training and everything, it was so much better. It was just, everybody was understanding it a lot better than they did before that. As you know, there's guys in the area that may have wrestled for 20 years, had 2 matches every week, just 2 matches, that's it, but don't understand anything about putting together a match. And when somebody comes behind them and they end up having to get rid of some people because they really don't understand the match and what to do. For example, I booked a little show in Malden, Missouri, came into the dressing room my first night as a booker, said, look, I just want normal psychology stuff. That's all I want. I want you to do. I want every match to be almost the same. The single matches, I want babyface shine at the front. I won't take over with cheating or hit a hot move and then, come out of it. I'm doing the host. I just want it normal. I just want to just so I can see what you could do. I said, if no one understands what I just said, please raise your hand. Everybody in the dressing room, but 4 people, and they were my 2 teams, did not know. And they had been wrestling forever. And I don't know how they get it. I don't know how that happens, but it happens a lot where there's everybody, everybody complains about it. Everybody wants to do super moves, blah, blah, blah. It's okay if there's some psychology about, I want you to do your super moves. I want you to get your shit in. Sure. But you got to get to, and we've talked about recently talking on the podcast, the difference between Memphis Wrestling TV matches and house shows, and how the TV matches, even though y'all got a hell of a crowd and they're reacting to y'all stuff, there's not a lot of listening to the 7 minutes. You don't really have time to listen to the crowd, right? Are you still listening to, I'm going to put something in because they're so hot?
Me personally, yes. I can't speak for everyone else, though.
But is that time constantly in your mind, too?
Yeah.
See, Dustin taught me something. What he's talking about, you always learn something. He gives you 11 minutes. Your 11 minutes starts when the first guy's music starts until the match is over. That's what it is. I complained about the 8-minute matches forever, and he wouldn't listen to me because that's the way they like I told you before we even started, there's things that I say to them, but I don't force myself into situations. But that was one of my main complaints. You didn't hear it a lot on the podcast because my job for Memphis Wrestling is to put the product over. Okay. That's some people say you wasn't BT, my website compared to what I do for Memphis Wrestling is 2 different things. I work for the promotion. I worked for myself then, and I could tell people that they sucked and they could have got mad at. You know what I'm saying? Right. I would rather reach out to somebody if I watch them have a crappy match and say, go watch this guy. I've done that a couple times. Go watch this guy and see what you can pick up from that. You got any questions? Let me know. Go watch this. Where was I at? But a house show to me is, I don't know if I could have teams. It would take me a while to get used to TV. I've done TV a couple times, but we weren't as time crunched as that was. They just tell us go out there and do, and then they edit afterwards and they could do what they wanted to. But I don't know if I could keep it in my mind about those 7 minutes or those 11 minutes.
I just structure it 2-7. You know what I mean?
Right.
It depends. I mean, there's so many different ways you can go about it. Just depending on where you are and how it's not really what you do, it's how you do it.
Right.
In that 7. You know what I mean? I've seen main events go 7. Now, the only thing about that is you're watching the time. So if you see that it's a 1-hour program, and if I look at my clock and it's 12:53 and it's main event time, that's the only thing that would take you out of a main event is you watching the clock. When the 2 guys that are getting in the ring are two high quality machines that are going to go and give you the best 6 to 7 minutes of your life. If you're not watching that clock and paying attention and just watching wrestling,
Right.
it's just too much. You have access to too much now. You can sell, instead of just, when we were watching TV before TiVo came out or before the fast forward.
Right.
You didn't have a time block. Your only time block was the little TV guide that you had to watch go all the way around before you see what channel, that one channel you wanted to see, or you looked at your clock and just kept time. Other than that, there was no counter at the bottom of it to let you know how far into the program you were.
Do you guys have the referees helping too? Do the referees say it's time to go home and stuff like that? Yeah. Okay. I figured y'all, I've seen Neil back there, and I've been to one show, and it was on a Saturday show, so it wasn't TV tapings. As you know, I don't like to be spoiled. I like to watch the show. I don't know if I'm going to say this as a mark. That's the way I like to watch it. I like to watch it and get involved, enjoy it. And then if I see something I like, and you know this, every once in a while I'll message you, I message other guys and go, damn good match. What I think is so funny about when I message one of you guys, and you don't know this, but go back and look at the messages. I message you and I say, damn good match. I liked what you did here. Say that. You'll say, well, we were supposed to. There's always, Simon does the same thing. We were supposed to. I don't know that. I don't know that you were supposed to do that. This is a damn good match. I didn't know you were supposed to, And Simon said, yeah, they were supposed to do this or they were supposed to do that. And I'm like, no, I don't know that. As we're talking right here, like we talked, this is probably going to go out on Saturday following Ray Sanders losing the belt again. Really good match.
Damn good match.
It felt like it was what it was. It was special. You were in perfect position at all times. When that angle was going on, you were exactly where you were supposed to be. And how does that happen? I mean, do you say shit can me and do your stuff? It just happens.
There's no supposed to on this one. It just happens, man.
Because I talk about triple threats all the time. Triple threats are an illusion most of the time. And I say an illusion because most of the time you got two people in the ring at the same time. One man out.
You never noticed. We were always together.
I know it. But you weren't there for the final. So I was just like, oh my God, this is perfect.
I wasn't there for who?
You wasn't for the angle there at the end.
Oh, no, I wasn't. But, I mean, I got pinned.
Right.
Pinned, so I guess, this is wrestling. You know what I mean? Things always tend to circle their way back around. And if they don't circle their way back around, I can fight my way back up. So
I just like what y'all are doing. Ray is going to be the ultimate baby face. He really is. He's got to be, right? You got to feel sorry for him.
Do I?
Do you get to a point you don't feel sorry for someone like that?
Like right now?
Think so?
Well, because I'm on the losing end of everything.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
I was very supportive. You know what I mean? Because I felt the same way everybody else felt. I felt like he was wronged. However, me feeling like he was wronged seemed like it cost me more. You know what I mean? Because we're fighting for the same thing. Our goal is the same. And if I'm feeling sorry for somebody and wishing that he was doing this and I'm thinking he should be doing that, well, then when he does it, because he was obviously the better man, you know what I mean?
Right.
Hell, who did he beat?
Right. Yeah. I felt like that somewhere in the big angle that they did with Frankie Kazarian, we would see Mike Anthony, and I was like, "Where's Mike? But like I said, I question shit all the time with these guys, but never really say anything. As a fan perspective, do you think they can keep a baby face down like that over and over? And he can eventually, do they feel more sorry for him as the fans do? And can they keep feeling sorry for him if he keeps losing? Because I love the win. I loved Ray winning the title. And then when Tim came out, I told Dustin this. I was looking at the screen going, no, no, no.
I was at home watching this. I was on
Right.
in their title by the end, so I was at home and I'm watching it, and I'm just like, what the hell? Because my thing was this: I set the tone for this whole Cobra Cup cash in thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would have never thought to stick it to this man on Christmas Day in front of his family.
Oh, it was done so well.
That was.
They mentioned the family a couple of times during commentary. His mom is apparently part of that crowd, and everybody knows it. He's got his whole family there, and you don't know what Ray has shared with them, but in a way, you think Ray has shared with them because they got a big amount of people there. Hey, I think I'm going to win the belt. And if he did, that just made it better.
I looked at it as it was probably the biggest match of his life.
It was,
his career so far,
Yeah.
The way I looked at it, dude, much like Toomer and Ray probably have two of the best shoot stories, just career-wise, period.
Yeah, Toomer does. Yeah,
Toomer was sitting in the
crowd.
Bought a ticket. He was buying tickets.
Right.
And then Ray he started off and he was made a referee. Like he would never be a wrestler.
Right.
Like his dreams of being a wrestler was just non-existent. And for him to have that, that's just what I'm seeing. I don't chat with these guys. I don't talk to these guys like that.
I see it. I don't, like I told you, there's very few guys. And I guess I don't want to get you in trouble because you and Simon and Dustin are the three guys I talk to. Occasionally I will message somebody, but I don't talk to you a lot about the stuff you do. But it's mainly just to say, hey, that was a good match or something like that. So at the end of that match, Tim Bosby wins the title. And this was the ultimate for me. Was the blowing the kiss to Mama.
When I tell you, I set the tone for the whole Cobra Cup cash in. But when I tell you that cash in right there was the most low down, but in the back of my mind, one of the greatest cash ins to date. You know what I mean? I have to call it. I have to call facts. As low down as it was good.
I thought it was done very well.
It was really good.
I mean, there's things that you do where you would turn on somebody and then you would kind of be a heel, but he went from being a babyface to a heel. He would by one act, two acts really, the kissing, but by the turning in the Cobra Cup to me is just, it's not as heelish as some people think, but him looking out to the crowds.
Again, it's not what, it's how.
Right. How he did it.
He did it. That's what the Cobra Cup is for.
Yeah.
Cobra Cup, that's what it's for. Anytime, any place, anywhere.
Any belt.
That's the stipulation. So you can't blame the cup.
Right.
But you can blame the person on how they went about it. And I got to say, that was pretty messed up.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on Bosby? I'm going to put you on the spot. I hear, let me do it differently. Let me rewind that. From day one of getting in a ring with Bosby to now, how do you feel his progression? Is it there where it needs to be?
So if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I want to say I had Bosby's second ever match.
Okay.
And if it wasn't his second ever match, it was his first within his first 5.
Right. Right.
And just in his second match, the potential, I felt the potential. Number one, he's a pure wrestler.
Right. Right. Right.
Pure wrestler. So he has an advantage over everything, just hold for hold. You know what I mean? And just over the years, seems like he's really become a student of the game.
I like that. I've never talked to him a lot. Never, I don't think, but God, I don't want to say anything bad about Tim because I think he is a hell of an athlete. I want him a different gimmick, and I'm going to tell you why. Because him being just that wrestler has worked for very few people. And I hate it that that's the only thing. Now he's an asshole. We know that now. But to me, I'd like to see him do something different. That's just me as a fan. I'd like to see him do something different. Let's go back to where I got ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to where we was in. We're starting to train. We're with Jazz and Rodney. Y'all, like you said, you trained a lot right before the matches. Was that you said you started ASWF. Were you training with Rodney and Jazz and then went to ASWF?
We did. Okay, so when I had met Rodney and Jazz, I had trained under them for a handful of months, and then they had moved.
So they were living in Sherwood, Arkansas.
I think they were either in Sherwood or they were in Jonesboro. They might have been back and forth from Louisiana. I don't know the exact, but I know when I had went to RWA, they were in Jonesboro then.
They were living here then when RWA and yeah.
And so it had went because it was the promotion. That promotion, that's where I had met Mortimer. That's where I had met, I met a lot of people. That's where I met Idlebane. That's where I met, my God. Like I say, I met a lot of people that night. It's just.
I think it's funny. You just mentioned Idle, but I think it's funny that ASWF crew during that certain time, if you'll think about it, the guys that have moved up and done Memphis wrestling from that crew, they were so good even back then. They weren't polished. Y'all guys weren't polished, but they kind of understood the business. Mm-hmm. You know, Idle. What's his name? Williams. What's his name? I can't think of his name.
Matt Williams.
Excalibur, wasn't it?
Matt
Williams. Yeah. You know, I even liked what was Idlebane's tag team partner? Deadly Dale. Yeah. I like Deadly Dale a lot. Yeah. And then but then there was always that group of guys you wonder how, and I'm not going to call you his name, but you wonder what the hell. One of the guys got so mad at me because I said, you know, him and Big Daddy LaFonce did not like me saying that they looked old. I'm sorry. I know. I don't like people saying I look old neither, but I'm old. Damn, I'm 59. Come on. I shouldn't be in the ring. But that's the kind of silly things I got in trouble for, not because they had a bad match, but y'all all migrated. Austin Lane, I forgot Austin. Y'all all seem to migrate to Memphis when Dustin decided to do it. All right, I keep going back. You're training, you're working in Jonesboro, but there's a time and period where you're gone from this area before Memphis Wrestling started. And I don't know if you're living here, but you and John Allen are doing lots of tag, OMGs, and you're in Texas. Are you traveling to Texas? Or are you living there for it? And you're working for Rodney and Jazz, right?
Yeah, we were traveling to Texas. I was still here.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that was a haul. Because it's just like an hour and a half, 2 hours just to get to John. Then we take off and start the trip. So coming back was just not fun because you got to get to the rendezvous point. Then I still had an hour and a half, 2 hours to drive.
One of my friends came in Monday or Sunday last week, drove in from Dallas, and he sent me his location so I would know when he arrived. And I remember driving to Dallas, but then you see that 9.5 hour trip and you're thinking to yourself, what the hell? Y'all were in car for a long time during those for those matches. Y'all were doing TV. Talk to me about that, what y'all were all doing there.
That time, and we were working Dog Pound in San Antonio for Rodney. We had did a little work for Rudy Gonzalez down in Del Rio, Texas.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. Yeah.
And then we were working for Kevin Nichols up in Rogers. We would go up there and do OMGs there. And then mainly we were doing SWE. It was SWE and it was a travel show throughout Texas. And that's the one that they were just getting the who's who.
Y'all were doing TV too, weren't you? And they, was that the promotion getting like Teddy Long and
and that's where we met Teddy Long.
Oh, really?
And that's where it's crazy how that happened, because number one, as long as I had been doing this, that's when wrestling had really clicked for me, was when I got to SWE. Because when I get to SWE, you got Kevin Sullivan, Teddy Long,
oh wow,
Mark Henry, James Beard, Tim Storm, and it's just
so much knowledge.
I'm sitting there like, talk to me.
Was James Beard part of that too? Is that what you said? Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
I work for James Beard now.
Oh, okay.
TSW in Forney, Texas.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I mean, dude, the who's who, and it's just so much knowledge. You had Jax Dane. You had, I mean,
and they were working NWA at the time.
Yeah.
I think Dane was. Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, you had all this knowledge. Like everybody came out better.
Yeah, I bet.
Everyone
Yeah.
came out better. And right then and there, it was a thing where we were cutting promos, and Teddy Long heard my promo. Me and John were doing OMG promo. Next thing you know, Teddy Long, come with me, boys. And it was just,
well, here's
never
the thing.
look back.
Here's the thing, Mike. If I see you come in and you hadn't said anything to me, and I don't know you, and you start talking on the microphone, I'm gonna say, "Who the hell is that?" Because you have what low key? You have the low key. Is it low key?
Yeah.
The guy that talks real deep. Yeah, you have his voice. You're like, you look at you and you're like, no, that's his voice. That's the way he sounds, you know, kind of thing. But that's what people are seeing, you know.
I mean, it was crazy because it 2 or 3 minute promo or 60-second promo.
Right.
And then you got guys like Nick Aldis turning their heads.
Wow, yeah.
Heads. And it's like, man, that was a damn good promo. That promo is off the chain. And like,
did he manage or anything, or did he just pull y'all to the side and say, "Hey, we're going to do"? Because you got a huge push there. Y'all were the top tag team. Yeah.
Teddy just took us under his wing and was just mentoring us. And telling us, you know, teaching us business. And that was the thing that I was really lacking. The business. And so he taught us business. And then he taught us, like, he pushed us to the front. I mean, because we had it. And I mean, we were there. We had the abilities, which were the number one ability, or the top abilities, which is reliability and availability.
Right.
And, you know,
you can be as good as you can be the best wrestler in the area, but if you don't show up, you're worthless to people. And so
Teddy took a liking to us. And then it was a thing where a lot of that is too, I mean, familiarity, who you know, is not always what you know. You could be the best in the world, but if nobody really knows you, if you don't have somebody, hey, pointing that finger, for some reason you get skipped over. And it's unfortunate, but it can happen, you know what I mean? And how many times have you seen somebody not as good or whatever just get a favor just because they know somebody?
It's true, but you also, there's the piss off factor that a lot of, you know this better than any. I'm not saying personally, but you know, if you piss off the wrong person, then you get a bad reputation.
Yeah, step on the shoes that got the wrong
toes
in.
Yeah. And it's I don't know, it's weird. We have a new podcast coming out, and it's I can talk about it because we've already announced some of it, but it's about Power Pro Wrestling. And Power Pro Wrestling was owned by a local guy, but I don't have any affiliation with him. And me and my partner and the other guy were all going to do this Power Pro podcast, but we weren't going to contact. Well, the third guy is not a guy that's in the wrestling business, but he's a fan. So we have a good perspective, a fan plus two guys that have been around the business forever. He contacts this guy. And I told my wife, I said, there's ways to do things in the wrestling business that people outside the wrestling business, they don't see it. And you said being taught the business. That's the inside layer that you don't see as a fan. There's things you go through, or there's things you do to put yourself out there without getting, what is the saying? Do it and then take the heat after the fact. If you believe in it enough, you would take the heat after the fact, kind of thing. And that's kind of what I thought, Right. And then, but the other guy outside the business sees it totally different. He sees it as, we're going to talk to this guy first and see if it's okay. I already knew the answer to that. He don't like me. He don't like nobody that's going to talk about Power Pro. And I said, I already know the answer. I don't know why you're. And I told my wife, I said, I don't hardly feel this way a lot, but I feel so corny right now because that's not the way I would have done the business. And she said, is that a bad thing? I said, sometimes it really is a bad thing. Being corny around people, especially smart people. Right. I tell her all the time, we'll do something with a bunch of people and something will happen. And I say, he's bullshitting. And she's going, I said, you can't work a worker. Don't you know that? You can't work a worker. They can say all they want to say, but they can't.
And it's so bad. And it's
yeah.
People will try you regardless.
They try to work you. So didn't something bad happen with that promotion? They ran out of money or something? What happened?
No, they didn't run out of money. It was the fact that somebody within the management didn't know wrestling.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Regardless of the last name, just because you are Von Erich, that don't mean you.
Right. Well, it's true. Yeah.
I'm just saying, but just got in there and made a bunch of stupid decisions and pissed a bunch of people off. And when you piss people off, people don't want to be bothered no more.
Yeah.
So everybody went their own separate way. And then once that dissolved, the ones that really had it together come back, and that's why you have TSW.
Awesome. I didn't know you were still working in that area. I just wouldn't. I can't travel that. I'm a bitch in the car, man.
Yeah, it's
woo.
It actually, like, TSW is actually a NWA territory now, and so we're affiliated with NWA. We do tapings once a month.
Awesome.
Tape 4 episodes every month. And I make that trip, and I still get to go and be under that learning tree of my
right. Well, sure. I mean, you're always, like I said, you're always going to learn something. Don't ever say, "Hey, I remember." I guess it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. I had an excerpt from Tanahashi's book for Japan. He just recently retired, and it was translated in English. And he was talking about psychology, and that's I just love it, but he said something that I never thought about. He said it's not just the moves, it's what you do in between the moves.
Yep.
And I was like, ding, ding. And that's, like I said, to me, that would be hard to do for a 7-minute main event, but you have to decide when you stop, what you do, kind of thing. There was a match between Mike Mondo and what's the superhero's name? I can't remember anyone's name. It was one of those matches that was almost flawless.
I personally thought that was a breakout match for Wonder Boy.
I thought so too, but he's in the ring with Mike Mondo also. But Mondo did that spot where he just, hey, we're fixing to slow down. We're fixing to put him in a headlock or whatever to the ground and slowed him down a little bit. And you don't know how much that helps when you got the nerves or you can't breathe or something, just the setting down part. I thought it was a great match for both. Wonder Boy looked really good there.
Really good.
But this is the tiny things that you just keep learning. Like you said, you're under the learning tree and everything. Is Rodney and them there in Texas still?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I thought so.
Full throttle.
And then she moved to Orlando now?
I don't know if exactly she's moved. I know she's working there.
Yeah. Because they said she had a full-time job as a trainer now. So, man, she needed that a long time ago. But I'm excited to see what they do, what she can do with some of the people.
I just want to see watch how different those girls are going to be now, though.
Right. That's
the thing. It's
yeah.
That's going to be the kicker right there, just to see how different.
And dude, she's working for the WWE. There's so many politics. If she can get through the politics of all that, and it's good and bad. It's a good thing. Someone said that they sent somebody down to NXT so that they can learn the WWE style. I said, yes, that's what they do. Do you think, you working at Domino's, you're going to walk through the door and say, I got experience at Pizza Hut. I got experience at Papa John's. I'm going to make a pizza. Well, no, even making a pizza at Domino's is different. Your process is different. I said they need that. They need to be able to learn the style. So you're in Texas. We've been about 5 years now with Memphis Wrestling. At what point, because I know some of the guys Dustin called and said, and he wasn't dumb about what he did. He looked at the guys he had worked shows with, is that